After 10 years of no contact, my sister called me at 2 in the morning, hysterically sobbing. "I just hit someone," she gasped. "You have to take the fall. Say you were driving." My mother then took the phone, her voice cold and demanding. "You owe your sister this. Your little online job isn't real anyway." What my family didn't know was that my little online job was actually my appointment as a United States federal district judge. For a decade, I had kept my legal career a complete secret from my toxic family. Now, they were trying to frame me for a hidden run, completely unaware that they were walking straight into a federal investigation and that I was the one holding the gavel. Welcome back to BT Revenge Tales, where toxic people learn their lessons the hard way. Make sure to subscribe and comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far our story has reached. My name is Evelyn Vance. At 32 years old, I've spent the better part of a decade keeping my true identity completely hidden from the people who were supposed to love me most. Growing up, I was the resident black sheep, the quiet daughter who was constantly overshadowed by my younger sister, Chloe. To my parents, Chloe was a golden angel who could do no wrong, while I was merely an afterthought. When I worked my way through college and secretively put myself through law school, I realized early on that sharing my successes with my family only invited jealousy and exploitation. So, I told them a harmless lie. I let them believe I worked a mediocre, remote desk job that barely paid the bills. They sneered at my little online job, entirely unaware of the truth. In reality, through years of tireless dedication, I had been appointed as a United States federal district judge. I kept my judicial robe, my courtroom, and my real life entirely separate from their toxicity, waiting for the day their entitlement would finally catch up to them. The quiet life I'd built shattered at 2 in the morning when my phone vibrated furiously on my nightstand. I answered to the sound of hysterical, hyperventilating sobs. It was Chloe. "I just hit someone," she gasped, her voice trembling with panic. I ran a red light. There was a man. "Evelyn, you have to take the fall. Tell them you were driving." Before I could process her frantic words, my mother snatched the phone, her tone sharp, commanding, and utterly devoid of warmth. "Listen to me, Evelyn," she demanded. "You owe your sister this. Chloe has a real future, a high society reputation to maintain. Your little work-from-home life isn't real anyway. A record won't ruin you like it would her." A cold, calculating calm washed over me. Decades of legal training kicked in instantly. Instead of arguing, I played along, keeping my voice steady and passive. I asked for the exact location, the timestamp, and got them to explicitly state their plan to frame me, ensuring my phone recorded every single damning detail. I pulled up near the precinct in my understated sedan, not as the helpless victim my family expected, but as a seasoned officer of the court documenting a crime. In my purse, my phone was continuously uploading the recorded call, every coercive text message, and the precise timestamps directly to a secure cloud server. Inside the station, my mother was already pacing like a tiger, rehearsing her script, while Chloe sat in a corner dabbing at dry eyes. When they saw me walk through the door, my mother grabbed my arm, attempting to shove a drafted statement into my hands for me to sign. They assumed their years of psychological manipulation would easily break me into taking the charge. What they failed to realize was that local law enforcement had already begun investigating the hidden run, and the preliminary report held a devastating detail. The pedestrian Chloe had struck wasn't just a random stranger. He was a key star witness scheduled to testify in an upcoming major federal racketeering trial, a high-profile case currently assigned directly to my docket. While we waited in the holding area, the sheer arrogance of my family was on full display. My mother paced back and forth, openly sneering at me while hovering over Chloe like a protective shield. "Just sign the confession, Evelyn," my mother hissed, her voice dripping with utter contempt. "You've always been useless to this family anyway. Chloe has actual social standing, whereas nobody will even notice if your pathetic little online job comes to an end." Chloe looked up from her phone, crossing her arms with a smug, entitled smirk. "Honestly, Evelyn, it's the least you can do after everything Mom and Dad did for you," she added casually. They spoke about destroying my entire future as if it were a minor inconvenience, completely comfortable with the idea of throwing me to the wolves to preserve their precious golden child. I sat quietly, maintaining an impassive expression, while secretly ensuring my phone captured every single attempt at witness intimidation, coercion, and obstruction of justice. They were digging their own legal graves, completely oblivious to the ticking time bomb above their heads. Heavy double doors swung open, and 2 United States federal marshals marched into the precinct, flanked by the lead prosecutor for the district. My mother immediately stepped forward, waving her hands dramatically. "Officers, thank goodness," she proclaimed loudly. "My other daughter is here to confess to the hit and run." The marshals completely ignored her, walking straight past my mother and sister to stand before me. In full view of the stunned local police officers and my frozen family, both marshals stood at attention and gave a sharp nod. "Good evening, Your Honor," the lead prosecutor said respectfully. "We have the warrant secured for the obstruction charge." The silence in the room was deafening. The color completely drained from my mother's face, and Chloe's jaw dropped in absolute horror. The realization hit them like a physical blow. I wasn't a failing wimp with an unimportant job. I was a federal district judge. Within seconds, the marshals clicked handcuffs onto Chloe for felony hit and run, while officers restrained my screaming parents for criminal conspiracy. The legal fallout was swift, relentless, and entirely unyielding. Because I was a key figure involved, I immediately recused myself from presiding over the proceedings, stepping into the courtroom not as the magistrate, but as the prosecution's star witness. Sitting in the gallery, I watched as my family's delusional entitlement completely disintegrated under the harsh reality of the justice system. The state prosecutors, armed with the undeniable audio recordings, cloud evidence, and forensic reports, stacked charge after charge against them. Chloe faced multiple felony counts, including reckless endangerment, felony hit and run, and tampering with evidence. Her legal team tried desperately to bargain, but the mountain of evidence left them with zero leverage. My mother and father were arraigned for criminal conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and attempted coercion. The most satisfying moment came during sentencing. Watching Chloe realize that no amount of tears, golden child status, or maternal protection could save her from 4 years in a state penitentiary was breathtaking. My parents received heavy fines, probation, and permanent criminal records, their pristine social standing destroyed forever. Standing outside the courthouse in my judicial robes, I felt a profound sense of peace replace the years of buried resentment. I formally cut all ties with my family, blocking their numbers and changing my personal contact details permanently. They made their choices out of arrogance and greed, and for the first time in their lives, they were forced to face the real consequences. Today, I walk into my federal courtroom with my head held high, using my position to protect the innocent from the very kind of toxic manipulation that nearly ruined me. Justice was finally served, entirely on my terms. If a family member tried to set you up to take the fall for a major crime, would you cut them off forever or give them a second chance? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to BT Revenge Tales, and I'll see you in the next story.